The day I received my cancer diagnosis, I ran into the company's new male assistant accompanying his wife for a prenatal checkup. Upon seeing me, she openly displayed her pregnant belly. "You've been on medication for so long. You're no longer suitable for childbirth. You can't deprive me of my right to be a mother, can you?" The male assistant gently placed his hand on his wife's pregnant belly and said, "Alistair, don't get angry. I'm doing this for you." I was so angry I felt sick to my stomach and I almost vomited blood. The male assistant laughed and said I was acting too convincingly. The color of the blood looked just like a popular red drink. My wife covered her nose in disgust and ordered someone to drag me to the hospital morgue. "Do you enjoy pretending to be dead so much today? I'll let you have your moment," I pleaded desperately, telling her I'd just received the diagnosis. The doctor said I needed to be hospitalized for chemotherapy today. She heard it as if it were a joke, her voice as cold as ice. "You know I'm soft-hearted, so you dare to deceive me like this. It seems you won't learn your lesson without a taste of your own medicine." To punish me, my wife locked the morgue door and dragged the male assistant to the door, entangling herself with him. The sound of the belt buckle hitting the iron door and my cries for help echoed through the hospital for a long time. I felt utterly hopeless, so I called my wife's archenemy. "I'll help you destroy the Davenport group and ruin Serafina Davenport's reputation." After receiving that thin diagnosis letter, I stood in the hospital corridor, wanting to call Serafina, but when I opened the contact list, I hesitated and closed it again. At the end of the hospital corridor, I heard a familiar voice. Serafina was supporting the company's new secretary, Remington Fairchild, who had just come out of the obstetrics ward. The two were chatting and laughing, their faces radiating the joy of new parents. A wave of burning pain surged through my stomach, and my gaze locked with Serafina's. Serafina quickly took off her coat and covered Remington's abdomen, her face betraying a look of tension. I felt a pang of irony, clenched my fists, and said angrily, "What's there to hide? Did you get some embarrassing gynecological disease?" "You're being too direct. Things have come to this point, so I don't want to hide it anymore." Serafina revealed her pregnant belly without hesitation. "You've been in poor health these past few years. You should have thought this through before deciding to have a child. But you can't possibly take away my desire to be a mother, can you?" Serafina's expression darkened and she seemed irritable. "You've been pulling all-nighters for days. Didn't I tell you to rest at home? You followed me to the hospital. I can't see any signs of illness on you." Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my abdomen and I clenched my fists tightly. "Serafina, you once said that you couldn't tolerate betrayal, whether in work or in love. How did I respond to you back then?" Serafina's expression was very unpleasant. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I bit my lip before gathering the courage to speak. "I feel the same way." Seeing my unhappy expression, Serafina's tone softened slightly. "Alistair Thornfield, you need to be more reasonable. I never said I didn't want you. Our company is growing bigger and bigger. I need to think about the future of the Davenport family. You've been staying up late revising plans and drinking to close deals for years. Your health has suffered, but I still have to play the role of a mother. You need to listen to me. After the baby is born, you'll be his legal father, and he'll call you Dad." I held the report in my hands, feeling a pang of sadness. During the toughest days of starting the company, we lived in a cramped, dimly lit rental apartment. Back then, I shouldered everything on my own, hoping to give her a bright future. I worked tirelessly in the sun and rain, and the once sunny and handsome young man gradually became rough and weary. We often went hungry, and my stomach was always upset, so I had to rely on medication to ease the pain. I kept thinking if only the company could go public. But now, those difficult times we shared have become a sharp sword she wields against me. "Serafina, let's get a divorce." Serafina's expression froze, and her tone was filled with intense doubt. "Alistair, what are you talking about?" Remington has already backed down repeatedly. Don't act so innocent after getting what you want. Remington glared at me angrily, saying in a challenging tone, Alistair, don't blame me, I'm just trying to help you. Serafina gently rubbed her pregnant belly. Don't be ungrateful, you've taken so much medicine over the years. If I were carrying your child, I wouldn't be able to keep it either. Remington is taking on your burdens voluntarily, you should thank him. Seeing the couple flirting in front of me, I couldn't bear it anymore, and the discomfort in my stomach began to rise. Ugh, ugh, the discomfort in my stomach came up, mixed with black liquid, splashing Remington and Serafina nearby. Remington's expensive suit was covered in the foul-smelling vomit and black grime, looking both disheveled and terrifying. This was the limited edition item Serafina bought for me. He was furious and shoved me violently to the ground. The medical staff nearby were drawn by the commotion and wanted to help, but Serafina's glare stopped them. She coldly said, "Mind your own business and get back to work." Dr. Gideon Lockhart, who had reviewed my medical records, tried to say something but was punched in the face by Remington, who had grabbed him by the hair. "Didn't you hear what Serafina said? Do you want to lose your year-end bonus? This hospital is a private facility owned by the Davenport Group, offering excellent benefits and bonuses, which is why many medical students aspire to work here." Several experienced doctors accompanied the young doctor as he left. Even an impartial official would find it hard to judge family matters. As an oncologist, why are you getting involved? Have you seen such disputes before? The crowd laughed and dispersed. I didn't have time to feel embarrassed. Every breath felt like my stomach was being twisted, and the pain kept coming, soaking my back with cold sweat. I instinctively turned to Serafina for help. "Honey, my stomach hurts so much. I feel terrible. Hurry, call a doctor." Serafina saw my hair soaked in sweat and looked at me with concern and anxiety. "What's wrong? How did this happen? Don't scare me, I'll call a doctor right away." Remington's mocking voice echoed in my ears. "Alistair is so lucky, no matter how many times you lie to her. Serafina always believes you unconditionally." Serafina forcefully pushed Remington's hand away from her waist and said coldly, "Get out of here. If anything happens to my husband, I won't let you off easily." Remington, who had been pushed away, immediately turned red-eyed and began to sob like a girl. "Serafina, haven't you noticed yet? Why is the blood so black? He used to use the excuse of feeling unwell to send you away, and you believed him every time. Alistair is getting better at acting these days. This time, he even went out of his way to buy fake blood to trick you." He took a deep breath, his lips trembling. "Look at the color of this fake blood. It must be expired, yet you still believe him, Serafina." Serafina tried to help me up, but I stopped her. At that moment, I felt a surge of anger and disgust at being toyed with. I let go of her hand and fell heavily to the ground. "Alistair, you're using the same tactics you use in business on me. I really underestimated you. No, I really didn't lie to you. I have the medical report." Serafina snatched the report, didn't even look at it, and threw it into the trash can. Then she turned around and said to me in a mocking tone, "Keep acting. Bring out any other props you have. If it weren't for Remington reminding me, I would have been fooled by you." Remington looked smug, hugged Serafina in his arms, and said, "You're my smartest little assistant. I was in so much pain I could barely speak. Please help me. I feel like I'm going to die. It hurts so much." "Really so much?" Serafina sneered. "You like pretending you're weak, don't you today? You'll get to experience it to the fullest." She told Remington to grab my ankles. I was in so much pain I had no strength left, like a helpless puppy being dragged along. Blood left a long trail in the hospital corridor. We walked all the way to the morgue. My eyes were wide open, filled with fear and pleading. "What are you going to do, Serafina? What are you doing?" Remington looked smug, pretending to care as he tried to comfort me. "Alistair, Serafina is just doing this for your own good. Since you enjoy performing so much, why not learn a thing or two here? Next time, don't use those cheap tricks to scare people." The iron door of the morgue slammed shut with a loud bang. I pounded on the door with all my strength. Help! The door was locked, and my faint cries for help were cut off. A bone-chilling cold and the pungent smell of formaldehyde hit me all at once. I collapsed onto the ground, curling my legs up. After a while, I finally regained my strength and struggled to pull my phone out of my pocket. My hands were shaking uncontrollably as I dialed my friend's number, but all I heard was a series of beeps before the call was disconnected. How could this happen? Serafina's voice came from outside the door again, sounding full of contempt and mockery. "Alistair, you've had enough. How many more people do you want to make act in this charade with you? I warned everyone in advance. No one will believe you anymore. Just stay inside and accept your punishment. I'll let you out once I've calmed down." I wanted to scream for help, but my throat was so dry I couldn't make a sound. The last shred of hope in my heart crumbled, and fear and despair overwhelmed me. To punish me, Serafina dragged Remington to the door of the morgue and taunted me. "Don't do this, Serafina. We can't do this here. And Alistair is there too. He'll hear us. Please spare me. I really don't want to be that kind of person." Remington's attitude only made Serafina more excited. "This is so much more fun. Aren't we supposed to explore 100 places together? This place is really special today." The knocking on the door grew louder, each blow feeling like it was hitting my heart. I felt the light before my eyes grow dim, and a sharp pain in my stomach snapped me back to reality. I can't give up. I have to keep going. I struggled to stand up, but I was too exhausted and collapsed again. A loud thud echoed, drawing the attention of everyone outside. Alistair, in my daze, I thought I heard Serafina's voice. Serafina, hearing the noise, kicked the door hard and shouted angrily, "Alistair, how long are you going to keep this up? I've already told you I won't fall for your tricks again. Stop wasting your time trying to get my attention." I lay on the ground, my throat feeling like it was on fire, too dry to speak. Footsteps grew faint in the distance as Serafina left with Remington. I dialed the last emergency number, contacting the Whitmore family, our rival company. If we reach an agreement, the Goo Group will collapse within a month, and Serafina will be severely affected. Are you really willing to do this? Remington said over the phone with a playful tone. Not a month, but 10 days. Serafina, in 10 days, I'll see how you fare. After waking up, the first thing I did was throw the engagement ring you gave me 7 years ago into the trash. Serafina never expected I was still in the morgue. She and Remington had moved to a new place and were living happily. During my hospital stay, I contacted a lawyer to begin divorce proceedings and property division. Meanwhile, I was busy collaborating with the Whitmore family company, while Serafina was preparing a birthday party for Remington. On an ordinary day, I suddenly received a message from Serafina with an address attached. "Husband, there's a surprise waiting for you." The private room was filled with smoke, and the atmosphere was lively. Remington sat down and had Serafina sit on his lap. His right hand tightly gripped her exposed white waist. They kissed passionately, and those around them were used to it. It was the birthday party for the assistant, attended by all the important figures in the company. I looked around one by one, recalling the day my call for help was hung up multiple times. They flattered her, saying Serafina was truly a winner in life, with Alistair's support in her career, and such an outstanding younger brother to accompany her when she went out to play. Serafina leaned against Remington's chest, her voice soft as water. "I admit that Alistair helped Davenport Group achieve its current success, but I also gave him the best years of my life. You don't know that he spends all day at business parties, his belly as fat as a pig's, and I feel uncomfortable being around him. I'm a woman, I have my own needs. I need someone to help me relax, but I'm clear about my feelings. Alistair is the man I want to spend the rest of my life with, and that won't change." Remington's expression darkened, and he said with a hint of resentment, "Serafina, you can't live without Alistair. What about me? Don't be so melodramatic. No one's making you suffer. Serafina gently kissed Remington's lips, then pulled out a limited edition Rolex watch from her pocket and casually slipped it onto her middle finger. If you can take it off with your tongue, it's yours. This made Remington unable to help but smile mischievously. Someone who had had a few drinks joked. Serafina likes Alistair so much, isn't she afraid of a real divorce? Serafina's expression remained calm. Alistair has no other family besides me. I'm very important to him. He values me more than his own life. When I said I wanted to start Davenport Group, he almost risked half his life for me. He couldn't bear to part with me, nor with the Davenport Group. Others nodded in agreement. That's right, Alistair had stayed up countless nights for this project, pouring his heart and soul into the core technology of the Davenport Group. Serafina's move was truly brilliant. My stomach was cramping and I felt nauseous, my face turning pale. I pushed open the door and walked in, seeing me. Serafina's face was filled with displeasure. I understood that the location and text messages were sent by Remington. I still came, hearing Remington laugh and call me Alistair. Serafina glared at me angrily. I've told you so many times if you're not feeling well, you should stay home and rest. Why are you running around everywhere? I'm sorry, Serafina. It was my idea to have Alistair come. I want to apologize to Alistair and make up for what happened last time. Seeing Remington lower his head dejectedly, Serafina spoke gently, comforting him. Why apologize? He doesn't seem upset at all. He's standing here as if nothing happened. Remington lifted his head with sparkling eyes. Testing my reaction. Alistair, I've heard you can hold your liquor well. I get flushed when I drink, so I substituted juice for alcohol. Let me toast you and apologize. Serafina frowned, her face showing signs of impatience. Make me drink that flaming whiskey. That's enough. Isolde Whitmore, please. Why are you still putting on airs? You know you can hold your liquor, so stop pretending. It's not funny. I gathered my courage, swallowed the strong liquid, and felt a wave of discomfort in my stomach. But I forced myself to endure it. The atmosphere around us grew lively again. I quickly slipped the divorce agreement into the contract and placed it in front of Serafina, saying, Serafina, there's a contract here that needs your signature. The lights in the private room were dim, and Serafina was flirting with Remington. Just as I had hoped, she didn't have time to read the contract carefully and signed it directly. However, when I tried to take the contract back, she suddenly grabbed my hand and asked thoughtfully, So, you came here just to get me to sign this contract? I nodded, but Serafina's expression turned slightly unpleasant. Less than 2 seconds later, she seemed to suddenly realize something. Alistair, where's your ring? I replied simply. I've worn it for 7 years. I'm tired of the design. Ignoring Serafina's surprised expression, I turned and walked out of the private room. While waiting for the elevator, I received a call from Isolde. She said that the conditions I had proposed had been arranged by the Whitmore family, and I could withdraw at any time. Finally, I said, Isolde, I look forward to a pleasant collaboration. No sooner had the words left my mouth than I heard Serafina's voice behind me. The Whitmore family. Are you planning to collaborate with the Whitmore family? I hung up the phone and turned to see Serafina standing behind me, her face pale. I remained calm and said, A university classmate. His company is currently collaborating with the Whitmore family, and he complained to me about how difficult they are to deal with. I just mentioned that I hoped their collaboration would go smoothly. Upon hearing this, Serafina paused, seeming uneasy. She repeatedly reminded me, the Whitmore family group ruined my mother's life. Isolde and I are sworn enemies. The Davenport family will never collaborate with the Whitmore family. This is our principle. The elevator arrived, and I walked in feeling a bit down. Serafina suddenly called out to me. I didn't turn around and just asked, Is there anything else you want to say? Go pick out a ring you like. I'll transfer the money to you. Once in the elevator, I opened Serafina's chat history and saw a long transfer amount. In the private room, hearing the notification sound that the transfer had been rejected. Serafina couldn't help but grip her phone tightly. At 2 a.m., I cleared out everything in this house that had anything to do with me, from the large furniture and appliances to the small pots and pans. Everything was chosen together during the happiest times of our relationship, filled with love. Every gift we exchanged during holidays, I had carefully saved. I was an abandoned orphan who received very little love in college. After 3 years of Serafina's passionate pursuit, I finally fell for her. After we started dating, I discovered that she was actually the illegitimate daughter of the Whitmore family, and her mother was one of the many mistresses of the second son of the Whitmore family. She had been waiting for the Whitmore family to take her in, but she never got the chance. Serafina felt deeply resentful, so she changed her surname to her mother's. She placed great importance on her background, so she decided to start her own company after graduation. Isolde is the youngest granddaughter of the Whitmore family and possesses everything Serafina has ever desired. Serafina feels resentful and wants to prove to the Whitmore family that she is the more suitable heiress. I have been by her side supporting her in her business ventures, and the company is doing quite well. However, this has left me physically and mentally exhausted. To help me recover, Serafina urged me to quit my job and return home to rest. Just 1 month after I quit, she hired a handsome, sunny-dispositioned male assistant named Remington. She said Remington reminded her of me when I first graduated from university. Enthusiastic, proactive, and always full of energy. The first time I met Remington was in the passenger seat of Serafina's car. He stuck out his tongue and said, "Alistair, sorry, I caught a cold today, so I'm sitting in the passenger seat because it has seat heating to keep me warm." I reminded Serafina to dress appropriately. If he was really sick, he should wear something warmer instead of a transparent white sleeveless t-shirt, showing off his 8-pack abs while sitting in the passenger seat next to the boss. Serafina said I was too traditional, that people nowadays are free to dress as they please, and no company would dictate what to wear when sick. I felt uneasy, thinking maybe this was really my own issue, until I found an opened condom in the car. I excitedly asked her if she had betrayed me. Serafina just stared at me coldly, watching me get so worked up. "Are you done asking yet? There's a distance between us. What does that count as cheating? I have no family. I've been by Serafina's side since I graduated. My colleagues have all advised me. The 7-year itch is understandable. Serafina just wants to change things up, but she still cares about you. You've invested so many years in her. Can you really let go so easily?" When I received the report, I began to hesitate. I also wanted to accompany her through the rest of her journey, but she kept stabbing my heart with every word. I felt immense pain and wanted to drag Serafina into the abyss with me, so she could feel this pain too. On the morning I was preparing to leave, I saw Serafina, who hadn't been home in a long time, lying beside me looking at her phone. When she saw I was awake, she asked the housekeeper to bring me breakfast. She said she knew my stomach was sensitive, so she had me cook some pumpkin porridge early in the morning. The housekeeper smiled as she placed the food box on the coffee table. Midway through breakfast, Serafina suddenly asked me how I changed my phone password. "I just changed it because I wanted to. The old one was your birthday." Serafina's coffee cup froze in midair, unable to lower it. "Did you get the test results back? Why didn't you tell me?" I shook my head and brushed her off, not wanting to say another word. Serafina frowned slightly, seeming to have something to say, but just then her phone rang, and she received a message. "I'll go for a checkup today and pick up your test results for you." At the hospital, Serafina successfully retrieved my report. 2 hours later, I completed my resignation procedures and got into Isolde's car. My phone kept ringing and the screen showed Serafina's call. I didn't want to answer it, so I turned it to silent mode. Isolde could tell I was in a bad mood, but I didn't say anything, so she didn't ask. She told me that Gideon, the oncologist hired by Davenport Group Hospital, was indeed very talented. Recently, the anti-cancer drug he and his team had been developing had shown some results. Your condition is not yet irreversible. Are you really going to participate in this anti-cancer human trial? She was surprised by my decision, her tone filled with sincere concern. If you experience any discomfort during the treatment trial, let her know immediately. As I was considering how to respond, Gideon sent a video. He said that the video of Alastair Serafina and her assistant had been widely shared among the doctor's group. I hesitated for a moment before clicking on the video. The video was clearly taken from the surveillance footage at Davenport Group Hospital, although there was no sound. I recognized the piece of paper Serafina was holding. It was a medical report. At the beginning of the video, the new oncologist was gesturing with his hands while explaining something based on the X-ray images. Serafina, however, kept staring intently at the malignant tumor report in her hands, as if she wanted to stare a hole through the thin paper. Remington stood behind the woman, his expression grim. He slowly walked forward, intending to wrap his arms around her waist and say something, but Serafina suddenly slammed the glass cup on the table against the wall, startling him so much he nearly fell. As the ceramic shards shattered, the veins on Serafina's forehead bulged, and her eyes turned red as if they were about to bleed. The young Remington stood there confused, unsure of what to do. Serafina turned around and walked toward him. The video stopped here. Actually, there was no need to watch any further. I understood that Serafina was just comforting Remington, who was startled and at a loss, and felt guilty, so she was being extra kind to him. After exiting the video page, I sent Gideon a message, officially informing him that Serafina and I had divorced. Compared to her emotional issues, I was more interested in participating in the cancer clinical trial. The person on the other side was typing for a while. Then the text disappeared, and he quickly replied, "Got it." I handed the industry report on the Davenport Group that I had compiled over the past few days to Isold. The data clearly showed the cost issues facing the Davenport Group. The news of the Davenport Group's broken cash flow would likely spread soon. Her fingers tapped lightly on the folder, and we were already prepared to take over all the clients. On the first day of moving into the new apartment, I received a call from an unknown number. "Alastair, why didn't you answer my call?" Serafina's voice sounded hoarse. "Because we've already divorced." Upon hearing the word divorce, Serafina felt it was nothing but a joke. Divorce? When did we get married? How come I didn't know anything about it? I didn't bother arguing with her and simply took a photo of the divorce agreement tucked inside the contract and sent it to her. Trying to stay calm, I said, "The lawyer is already handling the divorce. You'll receive the divorce certificate in a few days." "Alastair, I don't want a divorce." "What did I do wrong? How dare you just say you want a divorce?" Hearing those words, I couldn't help but laugh. How could someone be so shameless? She was still rambling on, trying to justify her actions. "Alastair, you can't just dismiss 7 years of our relationship because of my impulsive decision. I'll agree to fire Remington." "Okay, as long as you're willing to forgive me, I can accept not having children. Go home. I'll be there to support you through the healing process, as long as we're united as a couple. There's no obstacle we can't overcome." I coldly replied, "Aren't all these things that happened today your own doing? Aren't you satisfied yet?" Serafina's voice carried a hint of pain. "It's not like that. Absolutely not. I never meant to hurt you. I just thought you've been working so hard all these years and deserved a break. I really want to be a mother. I don't know why things turned out this way. I really don't. I'm the one who loves you the most." Hearing her voice break down, I remained unmoved. "I can't stand your feelings anymore." I hung up the phone decisively and kept hanging up her repeated calls. Isold was determined to secure the Davenport Group and had invested a significant amount of funds in accordance with the contract. to support the clinical trials of the anti-cancer drug. This scientific breakthrough not only brought substantial economic benefits, but, more importantly, gave new hope for life to cancer patients facing life-threatening challenges with the emergence of new treatment methods. In my new work and life, the lingering feelings of loss and disappointment were gradually soothed by a sense of accomplishment until they were eventually forgotten. I arrived at the hotel as agreed to attend the celebratory banquet. Isolde carefully opened the car door for me and helped me out, her movements seeming quite practiced. In my eyes, "You're as precious as a panda now." I knew she was joking, concerned about my recent recovery and afraid I might trip. I gently tapped her forehead. "Don't worry, I'm definitely healthier than you now." She lowered her head and smiled, her eyes fixed on me. "Alistair, I was just trying to say," before she could finish. I felt a sharp pain in my wrist and my entire body stumbled backward. I didn't actually fall, but I saw the angry expression on her face. "Alistair, was that really you?" The Davenport group was completely wiped out by the Whitmore family in such a short time. It seems there must be someone inside the group who leaked the information. Serafina investigated one by one and discovered she had offended many people in the circle. Now, the woman was waiting for my answer with an unhappy expression on her face. Serafina hated betrayal the most. No matter how outstanding a person was, if they were unfaithful once, she would choose not to use them anymore. Remington said in a mocking tone, "Alistair, Serafina suspects everyone, yet she doesn't suspect you, but you betrayed her. You think that's fair to her trust? I only care about Serafina now. If you can save the Davenport group this time, I'll give Serafina back to you. Is that acceptable?" I remained silent for a moment, then did something that surprised everyone. I slapped Remington 7 or 8 times across the face. Remington was hit, his face turned red and his nose started bleeding. He shouted hoarsely, turning to charge at Serafina. But the funny thing was, Serafina dodged him. Remington fell to the ground, covering his face and screaming in pain, and it didn't look like he was faking it. Serafina didn't even glance at him. She walked straight up to me, looking a bit listless, and said, "Alistair, I know you're working with the Whitmore family to get back at me. Now you should calm down. Why don't you just come back with me? I've already arranged for the surgery. If you're willing, we can pretend none of this ever happened and start over." "Okay." Serafina tried to hug me, but Isolde, with a cold expression, pulled me behind her and objected, "Don't touch Alistair. Can't you tell he doesn't like you?" Serafina's expression immediately turned ugly, and she raised her hand to hit Isolde. But I grabbed her hand in time and pushed her, causing her to stumble. "Have you had enough?" Serafina froze, staring at me in disbelief. "Alistair, are you really going to turn against me for her?" I escorted Isolde to the hotel entrance. Everyone might be waiting impatiently. "You go in first, I'll come in later." I didn't want to involve her in this. Amid the bustling crowd at the hotel entrance, I walked straight up to Serafina and told her the truth about what happened back then. He looked at her with contempt and said, "Your mother meddled in someone else's marriage, wanted a title but failed, and ended up threatening to kill herself. She died unexpectedly. Your biological father was also driven out by the Whitmore family because of others' opinions of him. Losing his family, this was all his own doing. Just like you now, you shouldn't blame others. All of this is the consequence you must bear." Serafina stood there motionless. Her eyes filled with shock and sadness, until she seemed to lose all her luster. She unconsciously touched the wedding ring on her ring finger, but couldn't understand how. After living with him for 7 years, the marriage could suddenly change like this. Just as others often said, the days when he loved you so deeply he couldn't let go. The light in my eyes ultimately led her to recklessly squander it all without hesitation. In the blur, Serafina heard me ask with concern, "Is Isolde scared?" Then I noticed Isolde gently holding my hand and asking if it hurt. She suddenly remembered that these acts of tenderness, which she had once ignored. had once been so freely given to her. Alistair, I am the woman you loved for 7 years. Do you remember what you whispered in my ear on our wedding night? You said you didn't like this world, but you only liked me, and you would love me for the rest of your life. Seeing the panic in your eyes, I said softly, Serafina, even if you betray me after 7 years or even 70 years, I would leave without hesitation. We locked eyes, and I had never seen such a dejected expression on Serafina's face. She pleaded with me, saying it was her fault and she shouldn't have treated your friend that way. I'm sorry, truly sorry. You can do whatever you want with me. At that moment, she ruthlessly pushed Remington, whose eyes were swollen from crying, toward me. Can I make him disappear forever? I promise you, I will never have any inappropriate contact with another man again. I swear. I interrupted Serafina and said, that's your choice. It has nothing to do with me. Serafina, I'll say it again. We're already divorced. Everything about you has nothing to do with me anymore. As I entered the hotel suite with Isolde, I saw endless pain and regret in Serafina's eyes. Applause surged like a tide, but I smiled, harboring an unignorable strength within. Just then, I received a call from a former colleague who had worked with me at the Davenport Group. Alistair, we've been your old friends for years. We hope you won't forget to look out for us old colleagues. Business requires reason. We've worked together in the business world before. You can handle the Davenport Group family, but you should at least leave us some room. That day, the cold in the morgue was bone-chilling. I held the phone so tightly my hands turned white. All I heard on the other end was the cold, ringing tone. No one was willing to offer me any comfort over the phone. Everyone laughed and said the kiss mark on Serafina's neck was just a stain from her clothes. When I stormed into the meeting room with the torn condom in hand to confront them, those familiar faces fell silent one by one. In the end, they only gently urged me to be more forgiving in marriage. Today you want me to take care of your lives. But did you ever think about how you pushed me to the brink of despair without offering a single helping hand? I hung up the phone without a second thought. As the head of the Whitmore family group, I established a company policy. We cannot hire anyone who has previously worked at the Davenport Group. Nor can we collaborate with companies that employ Davenport Group employees. After obtaining the divorce decree, I filed a lawsuit against Serafina for intentional assault. After collecting evidence, the police convicted Serafina of illegal detention and sentenced her to 3 years in prison. The latter half of the hospital surveillance video was uploaded online. In the video, Serafina was beating and kicking Remington. Despite his pleas while kneeling, she did not stop, leaving the scene shocking to watch. Some people immediately pointed out that they had been unfaithful during their marriage. Netizens who had previously sympathized with Remington began to criticize him, exposing his past affairs with a married director while studying abroad, and the embarrassing story of him being forced to return home after being confronted by his ex-wife. I filed a lawsuit in court, demanding that Remington return the mansion and other gifts that Serafina and I had given him. Remington's life plummeted from the peak to the depths. These revelations sparked significant online attention, trending on social media for an entire month, severely damaging Remington's reputation and forcing him to return to his hometown. Life grew increasingly difficult. Serafina was imprisoned, and the Davenport Group went bankrupt, leaving only an empty shell to repay the contract money. Serafina had no choice but to move her mother's grave. As a cancer survivor, I was often invited to share my experience at charity events. A young woman stood up and asked me, "Experts say that a healthy diet and adequate sleep can prevent cancer. Alistair, do you have any new insights to share?" I tapped the microphone gently, my voice calmer than I had anticipated, distancing myself from unhealthy emotions. Those who drain your emotions with indifference, destroy your trust with lies, and pretend to care while limiting your growth. They are not here to love you, but to drain your vitality. The audience erupted into enthusiastic applause.